We are now joined by Lance Irvin, the head coach for the men's team at Chicago State. Coach, how are you?
I'm doing great. I'm doing fine. I'm happy and ecstatic to be here this year. I could be a lot of other places, but I'm happy to be here, so I appreciate you.
Well, I'm happy you're sitting down with me today, that's for sure. But let's talk year 2 now. What was your biggest takeaway from year 1?
You know what, my biggest takeaway from year 1 was, how people always say you have to trust the process. It's tough when you're going through the process. So one thing I took away was that I had to be patient, and wins are hard to come by in this league. So you have to be patient. You have to have your guys ready to play each and every day, but I learned that you have to be patient. So that was my biggest takeaway. And then, too, on top of that you have to have some good players, too. Not saying that we didn't, but you need players in order to help you get some wins.
In year 2, obviously wins is one of the big things that you do want, but what's another thing that you're hoping to accomplish this season?
You know what, one of the things is that get some more wins, like you said, but just getting guys to be ready to play each and every day and understanding how hard you had to work. Last year we used the phrase, you want to change the culture. Well, now we want to continue to build on the culture. So that's some things that we're working on.
Do you feel like you're on the right pathway to continue to build on that culture?
Yes, definitely. I'm on the right path. We recruited well. We brought in 9 new guys, and they all were used to winning. And one of the keys, we wanted some guys that were used to winning. And, because when you get down, it was a lot of guys there last year that wasn't really used to winning. So going out and getting guys used to winning, and we have some more size. We added size because our bench was really thin last year. So we added some more size and some more length and a little bit more scoring power.
You guys have a couple young players, but also a few experienced players. What do you like about Solomon Hunt's play?
Solomon Hunt, Solomon is we call him Solo. He's about 6'8". He came in wearing 290, but he's down to 270. He's a really good passer from the high post. He can shoot the 15-footer, and Solomon is good underneath, whereas I think some schools might have to double team him because he's a big wide body and he knows how to score.
You also have 2 players coming from Canada. What was the selling point to get them to go to Chicago State?
Just, telling them that Chicago is a nice city, and both of those guys, they wanted to be part of a program that was rebuilding and stuff like that. Speaking like Jace Coley, Jace was like, look, Coach, I like challenges. And I think if I come here, we could definitely help speed up the process. And then Amir from Canada, he just loves Chicago. So we were fortunate to get those 2 guys.
And are you still jumping in with the players and practicing with them?
You know what? I jumped in last week, believe it or not. As a matter of fact, I won the shooting contest for my players just listening. Now, they're going to tell you that I didn't win it, but I did win 2 of the shooting contests. But I don't jump in as much, but they know when I jump in, I'm trying to get a decent sweat also. So,
did they have to run suicides or anything because you won?
Definitely. When you lose at Chicago State, it's a consequence. So you run suicides when you lose, but, they haven't been running as much because I haven't been playing as much. But I'm going to play because you asked me about playing again.
All right, I love it. All right, Coach, I'm going to pass you off to the media.
So with only 2 players and one of those being a starter from last year, who are you expecting to step up and be leaders?
You know what? I think college is a guard's game. We have a young man by the name of Xavier Johnson that came from Hill Junior College, and he's really been a plus. I mean, he's definitely talking to guys. He's saying the same thing that I'm saying, and he can get guys to do things that they really might not want to do. So him and a young man named Andrew Lewis, and those guys, they're explosive and they're really good leaders. So that's definitely been helping me.
Coach, in your non-conference schedule, some of the games stand out. You have Purdue, Florida State, and Missouri. What do you hope to take away, and what do you hope to accomplish from the non-conference season?
Just using those games to help us get ready for the season. Those teams, they're a Power 5 team, and I've been telling our guys that, you guys think that you should have been recruited by those guys. We need to play like you trying to get those guys to look at you and make those guys mad that they didn't. But with that being said, you have to play somebody, and the kids love playing schools from the Power 5 conference. So we'll see. I mean, I'm hoping we can shock some people. At some point in time, we're going to have to shock some people. So definitely that. But I'm looking forward to those games.
First off, Coach, I like your new haircut. Second off, what did you learn about the WAC in your first year?
Going into it, I thought that it was a good league, but it was better than what I thought. Everyone has size. The guard play was great. It was length in the WAC, and there's some really good coaches. I mean, people talk about Dan Marley and Chris Jans, but I think Lou Hill is a good coach. Rob Barnes is a good coach. Jim is a good coach. Rick. So the coaching stood out to me because, I mean, you have to be able to have schemes when you're playing guys, because guys scout you well in the conference. So the coaching and the overall size, like Utah Valley, they had really good size. Cal Bakersfield had size. So just the size was a little bit shocking to me also.
Lance, Kyle McDonald with WAC Hoops Digest. I was just looking at it when I saw the schedule come out of the non-conference. I was actually happy for you guys because you got more home games. It's not filled with Power 5 teams or big mid-major teams. Mm-hmm. How do you feel about your non-conference schedule and what it's going to do to build confidence for your group?
I mean, I feel good about it because last year, looking over the schedule last year, we played our first 9 games on the road. And we went from like Indiana to Notre Dame to this school, that school. We were on the bus like every other day, it seemed like, and kids was missing school. So just having the opportunity to be around Chicago, playing schools that you would think you at least have a chance to go in there and play. I mean, it's tough when you open up with, like I said, Notre Dame, Indiana, then we playing a back-to-back against Central Michigan that didn't have a big as name as those schools, but they was like really, really good. So I think with the schedule, we at least have a chance in some of the games.
Like all conferences, the WAC has been greatly impacted by the high uptick in player transfers. How difficult is it to combat all this player movement, and what are you doing to adjust to that?
I mean, truthfully, guys been transferring since I've been in school. And I really don't pay attention to that because at the end of the day, I have to put a team out there. And the team that I put out there, we're going to have to play hard anyway. So I really don't keep up with all that stuff. But I do understand that the transfer market is a really big market because you can improve your team quickly. And I looked at a couple, but like I said, I'm not worried about who signs who. I mean, I just have to get guys and make sure that we're ready to play.
I asked Misty this right before you came in. What do you do to sell guys on coming to Chicago State to I mean, with the struggles the last few years, how do you sell guys to come in and help? I think you mentioned it where, you want them to be part of a change that you're trying to instill. Is that most of it, or is there more to it that you try to sell? You
try to sell the city, and I try to sell the vision of President Scott, who she comes out and she watches the games and all that other stuff. But then I try to sell my vision too. Like, I need guys that's going to come in here and play hard, and it's playing time out there. And then, too, the WAC last year was the 14th best conference in the country in some ratings. So I don't understand why you wouldn't want to be a part of something good. Now, I know guys, they want to win too, and I tell them, if you good as you think you are, come in and help me get some wins. And they look at me like, okay, coach, because they know I love a challenge. I love a challenge, and I like guys that have a little edge to them too.
The city of Chicago you probably will say, yes, it is the basketball capital of the United States.
I'm going to say yes.
I know you will. But it's also home to a lot of Division I programs. So how does the city's rich hoops history help recruiting? But then how do you separate yourself from those other teams that are going with those same players?
That's a great question. I mean, what I try to say is most of those schools like Loyola, they made a run to the Final Four. They've been winning. But Chicago State hasn't been winning as much lately. But back during the day when I was coming up, they was winning too. So it's definitely winning breeds winning. But with that being said, also though, I mean, Chicago is a rich, fertile ground. I tell them you had the opportunity to watch the Bulls play, and the Bulls will come watch us play. So just being able to sell the big media market and also selling another NBA team, because at the end of the day, most guys these days, they at least want the NBA to take a look at them. So that definitely has been helping us too. But I love Chicago. I definitely think it's, I'm going to say, one of the best cities in the country in terms of basketball.
Compared to how things were last year at this time, what would you say is the biggest difference?
The biggest difference is I actually have 16 players out there doing practice this year, 15 players out there, excuse me. I mean, last year I basically had to practice like every other day almost because we didn't have enough bodies. But this year I actually have bodies. I mean, I'm able to sub. I'm able to do different stuff that I couldn't do last year. And when the guy went down last year, when he was hurt, we didn't have an answer. So now when we have guys hurt, at least I have somebody that we could put out there and play. And the competition is a lot different in practice this year. I mean, guys have to work. Guys have to really guard somebody when we doing drills and stuff. Because last year you maybe could slack off on a player or two. This year we have guys that you can't really slack off on.
Alrighty, Coach. Well, even though you do have a rotation now going, I still need you to go in for practice, okay? That can't stop at all.
I'm still in shape, too. So, matter of fact, I'm going out there tomorrow, matter of fact.
Good. All right, Coach. Well, I appreciate your time, and thank you so much for coming
Thanks,
on
Rachel.
today.
Appreciate it.
All right, we've got Rick Corey from CBU coming up next. Don't move.